The Los Angeles Lakers are looking to acquire Zach LaVine, and if they want to do so, it's going to cost them Austin Reaves in a deal. We're going to be talking about more of that in this episode of Bulls Digest. I'm your host, Joey Mercer, and before we get into it today, I just want to say that about 95% of you that watch these videos daily are not subscribed, so make sure if you aren't already subscribed to the channel to go down below, hit the subscribe button, and turn on the bell for notifications, and we will keep you up to date with all the news that you need to know on the Chicago Bulls right here on Bulls Digest. You won't even have to search for this content anymore. It'll be notified right to you whenever we upload. So without further ado, let's get right into it. The first topic of today is, yes, the Bulls do want Reaves. There have been a few reports stated in the past that we have actually gone over, saying that the Lakers would not want to move Reaves in a Zach LaVine deal, but now reports have just come out circulating, saying that the Bulls would want Austin Reaves in a Zach LaVine deal. So which side would eventually fold if a deal were to happen? It was actually reported on Twitter, Instagram, and a few other places that Reaves would be a player that the Bulls would look to pick up in a LaVine trade. And this was the first one I saw on Instagram, and it was per Sam Amico or Amico, sorry if I butchered that name there. It says the Bulls would want Rui Hachimura and Austin Reaves in a potential deal for Zach LaVine. And I think if the Lakers, were looking to make a real push this year, it might be worth looking into another scorer. Austin Reaves is a great player for the Lakers, but he isn't quite the scorer that Zach LaVine is. He does some other things, but he is a bit hesitant at times at shooting the ball. Not to say he isn't a very good player, but Zach LaVine being a former two-time All-Star, you're going to have to pay a price for that luxury to have him on your team. Next thing I saw was from diehard Chicago Bulls fans on Twitter, saying that the Bulls want Austin Reaves and Rui Hachimura in a potential Zach LaVine deal per Amico Hoops, and the Lakers could throw in D'Lo if Alex Caruso is added to the trade package. The trade proposal would be Zach LaVine and Alex Caruso for a 2025 and 2029 first-round pick, Austin Reaves, D'Angelo Russell, and Rui Hachimura. So what side would say no to a deal like that? Right now, I'm not really sure about the deals that the Bulls are getting, but obviously they haven't enticed them to move Zach LaVine. So would the Lakers be willing to move on not only from Austin Reaves, who they said is untouchable, but then also adding in D'Lo and Rui Hachimura just to get Alex Caruso as well on the other side, and then add in picks? I don't think that this trade is necessarily going to happen. I think that's a lot being given up on the Lakers side. I think Caruso is one of the best, if not the best defenders in the league this year on the perimeter, but LaVine has struggled a little bit so far to start the year. He is a automatic 25 points per game on efficient three-point shooting usually, and fairly efficiently from the field, but he isn't that great of a defensive player, so you're kind of meeting in the middle between the two of Caruso and LaVine, making a perfect player between two of them. But when you go on the Lakers side, D'Lo's still putting up 15-plus points per game. We got Austin Reaves, who is their de facto sixth man at the moment, and giving a lot of production for them off the bench, being able to run plays, to do other things such as that, work off the ball, play some defense when needed to. And Rui is kind of a guy that I think they would be willing to give up on, as he doesn't really have a clear-cut position or role on the team. He's kind of been back and forth between starting lineup, on the bench, then coming off later on the bench. It really all depends on the game. Although he is a solid talent in the NBA, it just seems like he came in the league maybe 20 years too late. And that's probably the biggest knock on him. But then them also giving up 2 first-round picks, they would have to really want to make a push for the title this year and think that LaVine and Caruso will put them that much over the edge of those guys. Talent-wise, between the 3 players based on the 2, I think it's fine. It's just the picks that would kind of worry me there if I were the Lakers. However, I don't think this is completely ridiculous if you break down the stats. We're not going to look at basically points traded over, because you have to look at the full impact of players, and Caruso being one of the better defenders in the league overall this year has to be taken into effect there. For what value he has seems to be almost as much as Zach LaVine so far on the open market from what I've seen. The next thing I saw on this was Shams Charania, yes, said the Lakers are likely to have interest in LaVine at some point, though likely not until some of their offseason signees become trade eligible in the middle of December. And the Bulls are obviously more than open to trading LaVine, but it won't come cheaply. The Bulls, I'm sure, would covet Austin Reaves in any potential Zach LaVine trade, Charania said. So he's also agreeing that Austin Reaves would have to go back to the Bulls in exchange for Zach LaVine. So that is interesting that even Shams thinks that would be something that would happen. I also like that the Bulls aren't just going to sell Zach LaVine for pennies on the dollar, so to speak, in a trade. When you can get more value for him, you might as well hold out as long as possible until the trade deadline. And even if it had to go into the offseason, you can do whatever you need to do as long as you can sign and trade or still keep some value back for the player. And as long as they think they can do that, it is good to hold out until you get a better deal. But Lakers deals have been circulating more, as the odds for the Lakers to get Zach LaVine are higher than any other team right now at the moment. So the potential of a trade happening to the Lakers seems more likely than any other team right now, even in my personal opinion. The next thing we got to talk about today is LaVine move happening. So even if it doesn't happen to go to the Lakers, LaVine is going to be moved. The Bulls really are shopping him aggressively, and the earliest seems to be about middle December, maybe January, which is just around the corner when you think about it. And at most, it seems like the trade deadline. I don't think this is going to carry into next offseason. You never know, though. Things are so unpredictable in the NBA. We could have a trade come tomorrow. As soon as we all wake up, we can just see a trade happen on our phone, say, oh, look at this, LaVine got moved, blockbuster. You never know what is going to happen. It is so hard to say, which is why even though it's speculated to be mid-December to mid-January, we will keep you up to date on Bulls Digest when it comes to any of that. The next thing that I saw was this right here. Another bit saying that Chicago would also likely want forward Rui Hachimura in such a deal. One source told Hoops Wire. For now, the source added, it's all speculation as the sides have not even spoken. That said, the Bulls have spoken to multiple teams on LaVine and are clearly hopeful of moving him before the February deadline. But any trade can be complicated, which is why some are projecting a deal may not happen until January at the earliest, if one were to happen at all. So, interesting to see there that they mentioned at the end, if a trade were to be happening at all. I think it is almost 100% guaranteed. I'm willing to say I'm 99.9% sure that Zach LaVine will not be a Chicago Bull when it comes trade deadline. And I think that he is going to be moved sooner rather than later, as each night seems to be another kind of issue in the media with him, and the front office isn't happy with his, so to speak, antics, and kind of what he's projecting on the locker room and team overall. His demeanor hasn't been the greatest. It isn't the Zach LaVine that we've known from just a couple seasons ago, or even last year for that matter. He seemed to be a little bit more professional in handling things last year, I would say, and we haven't seen that full side of Zach so far. The next thing that I saw, and the last thing we'll go over, is you can actually, as you can see me through this, as they had a green screen in the back, they were talking about the Lakers on FanDuel TV, and Shams tuned in when the Lakers, are they going to need a third star? He said, I expect them to express interest in Zach LaVine. So, they are going to be aggressive, it seems like, towards him. It might not happen until January to February, trade deadline around there. But it looks like the Lakers are going to be the team that are going to go out after Zach LaVine at the right cost. What is that cost going to be? I think it's going to have to include Reaves if they're really serious about including him. But the pieces on top of that, I'm not too sure of. It could be Reaves and picks. It could be some lower level players and Reaves. It doesn't have to be top guys. And it doesn't have to be Caruso added in. The Lakers might just want Zach LaVine if the price for getting him and Caruso are too high. Although Caruso has also been tied to trades to the Los Angeles Lakers. Whatever the trade may be, or wherever Zach LaVine may go, we will keep you up to date each and every single day of the week on Zach LaVine and everything else you need to know about the Chicago Bulls. So make sure to go down below, hit the subscribe button, turn on the bell for notifications. It's free, so why not do it if you're watching these videos every day anyways. And make sure to like the video, comment down below what you thought of it, and I can't wait to see you guys in the next one. This has been your host, Joey Mercer, signing off.